You are live. All right, we're here.
What's going on?
Good evening, everybody. I tell you what, this was very unexpected tonight. I was telling Preston a little while ago that I had a pretty lopsided LSU loss score in my head, and it's a good thing I didn't put it out on TigerBait because I would be getting blistered right now. But I'm absolutely enjoying having seen this LSU performance tonight. As someone who covered TJ Finley throughout his high school career, I did not see this performance coming out of him tonight. I knew he had lost weight. I knew he improved footwork. I kind of tweeted out tonight, you know, it was spring of 2019 at the opening at East St. John High School where he didn't want to run the 40-yard dash. And he had a little fun with it tonight in his postgame where he said, you know, I'd ballooned up to 265 and they were teasing me about becoming a defensive lineman. Well, what a performance he had. I mean, it was absolutely outstanding. We'll talk about that. For those of you, I stayed in the office tonight. Preston went to the game. We switched out because of COVID and the distancing, where we normally have so many spots for TigerBait.com. They're only giving us so many, so I'll let Preston go tonight. I stayed in the office, so I watched the ESPN broadcast, and I thought those guys on ESPN were going way overboard to create a quarterback controversy at LSU. Talking about Miles Brennan going into the transfer portal. I mean, that was over the top. And I assure you, when the folks in the LSU football program watch that tape, they're not going to be happy. And I assure you they're making some calls to Bristol. I think it was over the top. I want to watch it again. A lot of it was uncalled for in my mind. Look, there's a lot to be excited about. You got a good It's a good problem to have when you've got Miles Brennan doing what he's done so far, one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Defense didn't help him out much. TJ Finley comes in and looks like, I mean, I made a joke in the first half because it was a running deal all last year where it seemed like, you know, midway through the second quarter, Joe Burrow all last season always had a stat line where he was like 13 of 15.
Yeah.
And TJ Finley was right there on Burrow-esque numbers in the first half tonight. So, you guys, we're trying our new program. Let us know what you think. Those of you who have been with us on our live post-game shows all along, we're using a new program tonight where we're also streaming to YouTube. I'm told our audio is 100% better. Let me know how crisp it is. Last week we were also trying to upload Orgeron video 2 weeks ago at the same time, and it really screwed our bandwidth up. So I hope you guys can see us real well. We're going to get to your questions. As always, we're brought to you by Kenneth P. Haynes, attorney at law up in Shreveport. Fantastic attorney. We're going to talk about him a little bit later in the show. And we'll probably go our usual 45 minutes to an hour on this one. And I'm going to pass it over to you, and I'm going to put some links out. So
go ahead, get shared.
You roll it.
Oh, yeah, man. I've been sharing it out there. If you're watching this, give us a share, guys. Appreciate y'all for joining us tonight. We're going to get all your questions. Let us know. So I put out a Twitter poll. The biggest thing that came to mind, okay, so the broadcasts I was hearing about, they keep on talking about quarterback controversy. Is there a quarterback controversy, okay? I tweeted, I don't think there is, but I tweeted just to ask LSU fans, who would you rather see starting at quarterback? It's gotten well over 1,000 votes. Fans are fired up either way. And long story short, Miles Brennan is leading 56-44 is who you would pick as your starter with over 1,000 votes already. A lot of people fired up on that either way. Here's the deal. Addressing that right off the bat. This is one game for TJ Finley. Now, would it have been reasonable for anybody to expect this game out of TJ? No, absolutely not. It's unrealistic to have a true freshman come in the middle of COVID, you know, where he's gotten the least amount of reps that any true freshman has in a while, and play so dominantly and just not make as many. He made one bad mistake tonight, which I'm not even 100% convinced that was, from where I was looking, it looked like Jeray Jenkins didn't even look up. So TJ Finley final numbers: 17, 21, 265, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and quite frankly, they didn't have quite as much trust in TJ Finley with their play calls. There was a bunch of times where I thought, okay, they can let it air out and let him beef his numbers up a little bit, and they chose not to because for the first time all season, really, they didn't have to. The rest of the team stepped it up. So Mike was talking about how his prediction, he didn't put it out there to the open.
It was bad. It was lopsided. I mean, Buddy Sanji has it on his little pool that he does, and I think I've won it 2 or 3 times, and I've never gotten the sausage that I've been promised. But I think that, look, man, there's nobody that could have predicted this tonight. I'm sorry. Most people that I've talked to in the media, everybody I talked to LSU fan-wise thought LSU was going to lose tonight. I looked at a buddy of mine that I go back many years with that runs one of the premier South Carolina Gamecock sites. Their whole staff had the Gamecocks winning. Of course, I mean they're a Homer website, but still, I mean those guys are usually realistic because they've had to endure and cover Gamecock football for so many years. But Finley just did not look like a freshman. And look, I think that there's something to be said about these run-pass option offenses. A lot of these quarterbacks are a lot more ready to play early on in a career. The fact that he was there at midterm, was even to be able to part. As soon as he graduated, he was on campus in December and was there for all the meetings in preparation for Clemson. So, look, but just was not rattled. He didn't show any nerves. Just started throwing strikes. I mean, Jamarcus Russell-esque frozen ropes. And he was in the game. Like, when South Carolina was jumping off sides and hitting Liam Shanahan and trying to force 2 straight fumbles and what they were doing. I mean, TJ was all over it and, like a guy that's been, played 100 games. I mean,
yeah, very composed.
He wasn't a guy like that was like, well, what are they doing? Or, normally a freshman in a situation like that would have just ran off the field because he thought it was a fumble. He was just in tune to everything. And I'm really happy for him. I talked to his dad, David, midweek, and that's when we, broke the news that he had gotten the word before Orgeron released it Thursday night. Of course, Cody's a super kid, a wide receiver prospect that has got multiple nice offers. The mom, super. The whole family's super. And if you've ever met TJ, you know what a great kid he is. And then I think Max Johnson, the little we got to saw him, I did think, I was with you, I thought Max should have been put in the game a little earlier.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's okay. And then, look, Tyrion Davis-Price, I think one of the bigger factors, not just Finley, was the running game. I mean, look at those running game numbers. Emory and Tyrion Davis-Price, that was a huge boost for LSU in their performance tonight. Defense looked awful early, and then they buckled down. Still got some things to fix there, but I also think there's some things for them to be excited about to build on going forward. But this was absolutely a must-have because I didn't have LSU winning this game, and if you didn't have them winning this game, where did you think they were going to get the wins? I mean, and now all of a sudden your outlook for the season is looking a lot better than it was before. I don't know if it was Jabril or one of them, or maybe it was Emory. I think it was John Emory that said something about because they beat Auburn, it gives us confidence going into next week. So LSU at Auburn next week. So what you looking at?
Oh, I'm just reading through a few comments. Casey Campbell, that their media, that's what they do. Look, let's not be too harsh on the media here, folks. You might be, we might have a little bit of media within us. Finley looks great. Joe B made Dan O look like an idiot on 113. He's talking about Dan Orlovsky. He's talking about Trevor Lawrence was best quarterback, but a little funny.
So Peter, that's who it was. It was Dan that was doing that. It was way over the top, uncalled for. I mean, I can get. We can say, hey, what do you do? I mean, that's obvious. I mean. But when they're talking about Miles Brennan talking transfer portal, I mean, that's almost, in my mind, sabotage.
Kenneth Haynes says we need to rename the show to the Midnight Special.
Yeah.
Well, one of the cool things we like about this show is there's other social media shows that start right as the game ends. And, if you want to watch right after the game, you go do those shows. Well, here. So
we're kind of the one that tails up the rear because we have so much content on the website right now that we have to get up.
Good transition.
Radio guys, they can drink all night and just turn on a camera and talk into it. They don't have to worry about updating TigerBait.com. We've got Muschamps interview We've got TJ Finley's interview. Brian Lazar already has his analysis up. Preston's post story, game story is a freebie. What else do I have? Jabril Cox, John Emery Jr. Interviews. The whole front page just about is free. I saw someone brought up Jack Besh. We broke the news this morning that he got the offer. And you guys know I've been pimping Jack Besh for weeks, and he got the offer. And I can tell you, everybody in the state of Louisiana is happy, but particularly those folks in Lafayette. If you've seen him play, I put his video from last Friday night in the story. Talked to him about it, and super stoked. I'm sure I didn't go try and lurk on some Vanderbilt message boards, but they got to be sick.
Well, everybody's wanting to know how this affects Brian Thomas now. I'll see 2 questions here. I'll let you take that one.
I've interviewed Brian Thomas twice in the last 6 to 8 weeks. I went out there in August for one of their practices. I was there for the Catholic scrimmage the Friday night before the season started. Interviewed him again. And he pretty much says the same thing he's been saying for months. He wants to take visits, but how do you take visits? They're not allowed right now. So I don't know what the back and forth is with LSU. So we're going to see how this plays out. It's not like if I talked to Brian Thomas and I said, hey, are you leaning somewhere else, Texas A&M or Alabama? I know a lot of people think it's Alabama. I think A&M's a bigger factor, or has been as big of a factor for a while. He's got a relationship with Tommy Robinson, who's now on the Aggie staff after being at LSU. So we'll see how that plays out. But either way, Jack Besh is a super wide receiver who's putting up huge numbers with Walker Howard, LSU's quarterback commitment.
And it's not like this was a courtesy offer.
No.
This wasn't a 25th spot they're looking like. Jack Besh has earned it.
No, he's a kid that you line him up inside, and you need a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 6. He's gonna catch it every time on a slant.
Yeah.
So, and he's used to taking those rockets from Walker Howard, so he can take some. If it's TJ Finley, he can take those rockets that you saw tonight.
Yeah, look, hey, Mark Towery with a comment here. The defense still looks terrible. South Carolina's offense self-imploded. 5-5 is the best LSU can hope for. So on defense, okay.
5-5 is better than what a lot of people have been saying for the last 2 weeks, thinking, can they get to 4-6?
You know what LSU opponent's record was coming into today? Not playing LSU? 0-6. Okay, meaning the teams LSU has played this year have not won a single game when not playing LSU, and LSU still was 1-2. Okay, of those 2 losses, you had 430 yards hung on you by Missouri passing. You had 623 hung on you from Mississippi State, and they haven't done diddly squat. Now, Missouri won today, so that's good. I haven't looked at the numbers of that game because I'm too busy covering my game. But the defense was dramatically improved, even though they got sliced up a bunch of times. They had 5 sacks. B.J. Ojulari was a force to be reckoned with, as was Ali Gay. They improved a lot. The defensive line's having some struggles switching from
Elias Ricks with a pick 6 and some
Ricks with a pick 6.
Cardell Flott with some struggles.
Yeah, now Cardell Flott.
Damone Clark with some struggles.
So you're still getting gashed downfield. You don't have 2 true outside linebackers. You don't have true defensive tackles for the 4-3, and your defensive ends are doing okay. That's just what it comes down to. You don't have that quick, fast outside linebacker. I look at a guy like Jacoby Stevens, like, why isn't he playing outside linebacker? He could 1,000% do it. They used to bring safeties down if they struggled in coverage all the time. Think Carnell Hatcher, how well he did in that role. So they need to start doing stuff like that, in my opinion. One thing that stood out to me is Cordell Flott got beat on the man coverage somehow, and there was no safety help over the top on a play. The guy runs 57 yards downfield, and Cordell Flott being 5 yards behind him, just the speed isn't even close. He catches him from behind. That, to me, speaks so much volumes about it's not about talent with this defense. Yes, they have some issues. They have guys who aren't ready. I just went through the litany of issues they have. But when you have players who are just so much faster and dominant as athletes, like Cordell Flott was on whoever that receiver was, where you're 5 yards behind and you caught him from behind and nobody else was going to catch him. You saved a touchdown and forced a missed field goal, which, by the way, they missed 3 field goals tonight. You know that kicker had not missed a kick within 50? He is money from 50, and he came this close on a 54-yarder. He was skin away from it, and he missed 3 field goals tonight. So consider them lucky. Defense continues to get better. They couldn't get much worse, so that's great. But, I mean, my God, you've got to stop the big play eventually. You got to cover. Yeah, and that's scheme, in my opinion, because you got the Jimmies and Joes in coverage, but you got to tackle in the front 7 because they have not been good tackling.
Folks, please do us a favor and hit the like button on our video. It really helps with the algorithm. Please share it. Help us get the word out on TigerBait.com. As always, please go to TigerBait and subscribe. Lots of recruiting content constantly on the Tiger Den Premium message board. We load it up every day with new content, and we would love to have you as a subscriber to the premium side of TigerBait.com. And tonight we really want to thank Kenneth P. Haynes, attorney at law, who's the sponsor of our post-game shows the entire LSU football season. And, of course, he's with the Weems, Haynes, Shimwell, and Moore law firm, a full-service Shreveport law firm. They cover all of North Louisiana. Kenny tells me that anything north of Alexandria, Shreveport to Monroe, that whole area, he's got you covered. He's the only lawyer in the state practicing outside of New Orleans that is board certified in appellate practice and family law. He has been board certified in family law since 2004. Board certified in appellate practice since the inception of the specialty in 2017. Over 30 years experience representing individuals with their litigation needs, family, personal injury, commercial litigation. He's got you covered. He's a founding member of TigerBait.com, one of our best posters on our premium message board. He's in the chat with us right now, and we love having him a part of TigerBait, and he's a good friend of mine, so that's even better. So, law school graduate of LSU 1989, and his firm, that fancy house you see right there, since 1983, they've been a big part of Shreveport. So give him a call, 318-222-2100. If you need a divorce, he's your guy. If you want to wait through Christmas and you want to wait till after the new year to break it, then give him a call then. But keep the number on file. He's your guy.
Certified familist, too. He's got some good comments I'm going to get to. I want to real quick break down something. So I had to do 2 South Carolina guest podcasts or interviews this week. And, then I did my live show where I always give my score prediction. And based off of what I had seen this season, I went South Carolina 38-17. I didn't see it being very close. I assumed the drop-off from Miles Brennan to a true freshman quarterback would be substantial. That was not substantial. TJ Finley did an excellent job, which I don't think anybody could have reasonably expected. You should expect him to throw 50% for 150 yards. Instead, he threw 80-something%. He was 17 of 21. I mean, he was nearly flawless, and he showed off a lot of arm talent. Second thing, play calling. I said keys to the game for LSU were establish a running game. Offensive line struggled mightily. You got Dare Rosenthal back. You got Ed Ingram back. And they were dominant. They played very well. And, they made a change at running back. They didn't go with Chris Curry as they had against Missouri. They went with John Emery Jr. like they did against Vanderbilt. And they didn't even go Chris Curry second. They went Tyrion Davis-Price after him.
Yeah, I'm kind of miffed by the Chris Curry disappearance.
Yeah, I think the other 2 guys have outperformed him, clearly. Yeah. He had 3 carries tonight. Tyrion Davis-Price, 22. Emery, 18. Okay? Tyrion had 122 yards. Emery had 88.
Either way, the running back's performance was good. It was big time tonight. And South Carolina has had a decent defense.
Right.
And that was one of the things they wanted to do tonight. And LSU gashed them good. Both Tyrion Davis-Price and John Emery really showed good vision on a lot of plays. Right. Tyrion Davis-Price had that big run for 30-something yards. Was it 35 yards?
Yeah, that's right. 35 was the long.
So yeah, no, that was a big part of TJ Finley's success tonight. But boy, he was throwing some ropes. I mean, Gilbert, Marshall,
So good.
Jarrett Jenkins, he got everybody involved.
So look, check this out. They end up running the ball 54 times tonight, throwing the ball 21. That's almost exactly what I said they needed to do. You got to run the ball ground and pound. It didn't feel like a Les Miles offense. It was still unpredictable. It was still opened up. They still did things vertically, but look at time of possession. Look at that. You know how you help a struggling defense? You keep them off the field. 37-34 time of possession for LSU. That is how this team will win ball games this year. Because you can't score on a defense that's not playing. It also helps that they had the rare LSU Stadium, Tiger Stadium kickoff return for a touchdown. First time since 1981.
I was about to talk about that. When Trey Palmer bobbled that, I'm like, here we go. This is going to be the opportunity.
That was the opportunity.
I mean, all it takes is a little bit of. Because all those guys running downfield, it's a timing thing. It's like playing an uncoordinated guy in basketball. You just can't get. And so when a guy bobbles it like that and he finds his way, and sure enough, his speed. And that was a backbreaker for South Carolina. When that happened, they had no chance.
What were you doing in 1981 when Eric Davis returned that kickoff?
Was that who it was? What's his name? Eric Davis.
I'll double check. Hold on. I'm pretty sure
it had been Eric Martin.
Maybe. I wasn't born. I don't know. You're supposed to be the one who gets.
It has to be Eric Martin, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm gonna let him look it up.
Right.
Someone comment. Someone as old as me, Kenny. Kenny, you got it. It's had to be Eric Martin, right?
Hold up. I'll pull it up. I had the Cordy Worsham tweet here. They were all on that as soon as it happened. As soon as it happened, everybody in the press box
Mark Towery says Eric Martin.
Okay, all right. Everybody looked at each other like, "Oh, it finally happened!" It's a statistical anomaly.
Eric Martin was a beast, and he was a beast for the Saints.
Yeah,
he was like, I mean, I like to know where he's at on the Saints list. He's probably fallen off, with all these Sean Payton teams have done. But for a long time, he was on the Saints receiving list, was out of this world. But anyways,
for perspective,
he was there with Herman Fontenot and that whole group. That's about when I really started. My earliest recollection of LSU football started. Charles Alexander, Carlos Carson, about 77, 78, LSU Blue Bonnet Bowl, Rice 77-0, Oregon State 77-3, or maybe it was flip flop. But yeah, no, those. And that's, of course, about when Ensminger was a quarterback. Wasn't that the deal tonight where Ensminger got a true freshman start?
Yeah, he did start as a true freshman. They asked that in the post game if that was helpful. Coach O said, sure, absolutely, it was helpful. He didn't give much insight beyond that, but he gave Ensminger a lot of credit for getting TJ Finley ready to play this ball game tonight. I
think LSU's red zone offense was a lot better as well.
Now, hold up. Now, wait. I'm going to comment on that because on that first drive, they fumbled twice.
But look at the third downs and look.
No, TJ Finley gives you a present. Now, QB sneaks, he's 10 times better than Miles Brennan. I mean, he is a big body. He's ready to move. He's got some scoots. Yeah, it's good. I talked to Marcus Randall at halftime. He was in the press box. Of course, y'all remember Marcus Randall, quarterback for LSU. He was on that 03 championship team. He was also there in 04 when he split time with Jamarcus Russell. I said, Marcus, does he remind you of who we all think he reminds you of? He goes, oh, absolutely. He looks just like him.
John L. Taylor says, love the fact that Coach O is going back to a simple defense. We have some guys that need to learn how to communicate and have gap assignment. I'm looking for a leader to take over. Who do you think that guy will be?
Boo. Dingling?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a leader.
Cox,
Jabril Cox is a leader.
That's who they're trying to brand it up as. At least.
I don't know if Rick Gilbert's very vocal. I think Ojolari can be a guy, but I mean, you're talking about young guys.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's a great point, by the way. One thing that stood out to me is you see how many freshmen stood out tonight.
Man, and I'm projecting the next year. I was talking to someone today. When you're talking about why is this defense struggling, and you talked about it earlier, you don't have dominant tackles on this LSU football team. And then when you have Shelvin opt out, Farrell Logan and whoever you want to name, guys that are upperclassmen, those are not going to be guys that are high draft picks.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be some guys that get in the right place at the right time and can have a multi-year NFL career. I don't know. But, and I keep waiting to find out what's going on with Jacoby and Guillory. It was said to be an ankle, when we see him. I mean, there's some guys that you want to get ready that are young. And then I'm projecting forward, because you're going to need some youngsters next year to play.
That's right.
I mean, and I was talking to someone today. I'm thinking about moving Savion Jones of St. James so high up my rankings. He might even go all the way up to number 2 in Louisiana. I think he's that good. I think Landon Jackson, the outside linebacker, edge rusher, defensive end from Texas that's committed to LSU, go watch him. Those are 2 kids right there that could be like Ojulari next year. Ojulari is going to be bigger and stronger. I mean, so they're going to need some of those guys. And then you get
Mason might be back.
Yeah, you get Mason Smith back, Jaquelin Roy better and stronger, another year under his belt. Like I said,
Mason Smith will be just starting if they get him on
yeah,
board.
and then we'll see what happens with Corey Foreman.
Yeah.
But this, no doubt about it. I think this win tonight was big for LSU. ESPN primetime. There's no doubt in my mind, particularly with the NCAA stuff that broke midweek, the 8 scholarships, which LSU is going to manage easily. They're way into the scholarship number already.
They're in the 60s. They're in the higher 60s.
But other schools are going to hammer LSU and get political with it.
Yeah. Negative recruiting.
Yeah, and so you have to guard against that. And so the last thing you need to do is not have that, and then them being able to say, well, what's going down there in Baton Rouge?
Right.
Are they going to get it together? And so this was an important win. I mean, heck, what happens if they go to Auburn and win next week?
We'll see.
I mean, all of a sudden you're starting to say, okay, this is going to be a much more palatable season. Just pick up another couple of wins the end of the way, and you'll be willing to accept this season, and then next year you're right back to having the higher expectations that you're supposed to have for LSU football.
Absolutely. I think this year is an anomaly just with all the stuff. People want to be at that Bama level. Bama never had a team that lost quite as much as this team did.
No, and that is one of the things that I've been talking about for years. And look, last year was just a special year. I mean, you had some incredible football players.
That's right.
And they all went.
I mean, no team Bama had could beat that team last year.
But before that, all those 9-win teams that Miles had, LSU always had issues keeping the juniors from going out early.
Always.
And it's been like it's been a part of the culture where those guys just feel like they're a disappointment or they're a failure if they've got to come back for their senior year at LSU. And I don't know what you do to counteract that. I used to think that part of the reason for that it was that LSU was kind of doing it to themselves because of how much sports information makes an issue about NFL and
right.
DBU,
NFL issue, all that stuff.
And how much they do of that on Sundays, and it almost like it makes LSU look like they're a minor league for the NFL.
Well, one thing,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Alabama sports information does that.
No, well, I mean, they do. Every school's pumping the NFL.
Yeah, but they do
stuff
it on Sunday.
But here's the deal: LSU was beating on their chest NFLSU while they're winning 9 and 8 games under Les Miles on the back end of that. Which, when your recruiting pitch is go to the NFL and that's it, you don't have the accolades that the Ohio States and the Notre Dames, Clemson's and Alabama have at that time. So what you pitch to stay elite with them is that, well, you're going to get a kid who's appealed to that. The other thing is, I did a few interviews with kids when I was at the SID at the time while we were beating on our chest about NFLSU and all this good stuff. And in 2016, we had a bunch of players come back the year after I just left after that. And they asked, I think it was Kendall Beckwith who stayed for his senior season. They said, was it different? Did you expect to stay here? And he goes, well, no, honestly, I came in. It's just like guys go pro early here. You saw guys like Patrick Peterson
it
and
was
Kevin
a running
Minter.
gag. I remember Jarvis Landry one time. Jarvis Landry looking at his watch like, is a like doing this little thing, like I'm just biding my time or I'm ready to get to the NFL, and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, look, those kids, depending on backgrounds, and what they can do, multi-generational change in the trajectory of your family's fortunes and wealth. I get it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of kids that aren't early round draft picks that make the jump, and they should absolutely come back.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, with the way it's set up now, between Pell Grants, grant and aid, and everything, the per diems that they get, they don't pay rent. They now have the meal plans. They have. I mean, some of those kids are making all that money tax free.
Yeah. You got to think about. A
lot of those guys make more than the average Louisiana person when you factor all that into it.
Yeah.
Tax free.
I mean,
because they're not paying a Cox cable bill.
No.
They're not paying utility bill. They're not paying rent.
They live free.
How much? All their meals, and then when they got to eat, they get per diem.
Not to mention the education they're getting for free.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about the education.
I get what
There's
you're
actually
saying.
cash that they get,
and they get a stipend too. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. They get a stipend to pay for.
Yeah,
all
I was told some of them it's close to 20,000 disposable income a year.
Well, and it varies on what city. The schools get to determine their own cost of living of their city. So of course you know how that goes. So they do all right for themselves. Here's the deal. You look at last year's team. Okay, Patrick Queen, first round pick, doing pretty well. Yes, that's the kind of guy you're okay losing. Jacob Phillips, third round pick, not really getting a start. You know what? You need to hang on to guys like Jacob Phillips and keep them for their senior year. You got to start recruiting guys to stick around.
Man, I think Ed Ingram's going to be tough after what he dealt with legally. I mean, but boy, wouldn't you love to have him back? But I get it in his case. Now we were hearing all the rumors all week about Dari Rosenthal. But anyways, if you can get a Liam Shanahan and Austin Deculus and some of those guys to come back.
Well, Deculus is the one guy who did come back.
Yeah, but he didn't get another year.
Oh, for 2021. Oh, you're talking about this year, yeah. Because technically anybody can come back.
Right.
And if you're not a high round draft pick and you're a senior, yeah, you should be coming to try to come back.
Yeah.
Zach von Rosenberg, come on back, man. Give us year 31.
Yeah. What did I see here? Someone I saw a minute ago. I wanted to.
I'm about to say, there's a few good comments we want to get to.
Yeah.
There's just a lot to say. While you're looking for that, Rashard Thomas.
Kenneth says he's got to hit the hay.
Night, Kenny.
Yeah. Thanks as always, Kenny. Let's see.
Does TJ Finley start versus Auburn? That's a good question. From what I understand, I don't think Miles Brennan's going to be.
If Miles Brennan's healthy, based on what Ed Orgeron said tonight, Miles Brennan is a starter.
Yeah, no, he shut it down. But will Miles Brennan be ready for Auburn is the question. I don't think he will be. I can't imagine. Rohan Davey broke down a similar injury. That sucker's going to hurt. And, it takes a while. And if it doesn't heal perfectly, I wouldn't rush him back out there.
You don't rush him. But Gus Fidjiak, and I apologize if I didn't say your name right, just joined. Let me just say that any and all talk about quarterback controversy needs to stop, fix the defense. Look, you're not going to stop fans from saying, boy, I sure like TJ Finley, and
he's
I want to keep seeing him. I mean, that's going to happen. But what ESPN was doing in the fourth quarter tonight, talking about, just on and on about Miles Brennan going into the transfer portal, and look, here's the thing. I think about it from a recruiting standpoint, particularly with this COVID situation, because what that really does is you can say, oh boy, you want all those guys to come back, but what about the guys behind them? When they sign, these kids think about the normal progression. Okay, I'm going to sign with LSU because that guy's a junior and that guy's a senior and he'll be gone. And, so that throws everything off. So, boy, the quarterback thing does get, look, man.
It's always going to be there.
But you got three quality guys there, and then you got Garrett Nussmeier coming at midterm.
That's right.
You seen Garrett Nussmeier's film we put up on the site?
Let me tell you
week?
what you
He's
don't.
big time. And then I'm watching Walker Howard every week. So look, I don't like that talk on ESPN, but it's going to be inevitable.
Yeah, it happens.
But there's no reason to do it tonight, and especially not ESPN. They were. I'm sure Ed Orgeron's not happy.
Oh, no, he's not. I mean, he said, no controversy. God, that fake punt from BYU. BYU might be pretty good this year. But anyways, yeah, look, anytime your backup quarterback comes in and wins a game when your team's struggling, there's going to be that. But it wasn't – the quarterback play was great tonight, but I'm not sure that that's where they markedly improved as a team. That's not where this team improved, was at quarterback. I mean – They played a bit better on defense. They played a little bit better on special teams. They ran the ball better. They got a couple offensive linemen back. They got Zaire Rosenthal and Ed Ingram back. That helps tremendously with how they played tonight. So, yeah, 54 carries for, let's see, how many yards they run for? 37 minutes time of possession from it, I'll tell you what. But 276 yards. Yeah, they weren't doing that in the past. So, the ability to do more things than just pass the ball 40, 50 times a game helps tremendously. I get the eye test with TJ Finley. He probably looks better in the eye test. I mean, he is a physical specimen. He wasn't too inaccurate on very many throws. I mean, he only had 4 incompletions, and only one of them was bad.
By the way, on our deal, I'm playing with this new StreamYard. It has Mike Scarborough under Preston. I can see on Facebook. I got to learn how to do this thing, and So anyways, I'll get that fixed next go around. But I'm using a new streaming deal. Let me know if you guys notice the higher quality of it. But yeah, someone said should Jacoby Stevens have number 7?
Oof, I hate criticizing players directly.
That whole thing, and it's like, look, there's a lot more. There's a lot more stuff going on there with wanting. What these guys do as teammates, leadership, so forth. But I will say, it was said in previous years that, if there really isn't someone who doesn't deserve a 18 or a 7, why do you have to have one every year?
I agree with you on that. I was literally going to say, it seems like here's the deal about number 7. It's not like 18 where 18 just means like the team leader. 18 was never like the dude of your team. Like, I mean, Hester was great with it, and even Richard Dixon was good in it, It was never your dude, okay? Number 7, you talking Fournette. You're talking Patrick Peterson. You're talking Tyrann Mathieu. The bar is set pretty high. If you want to make that your tradition, if you don't have a dude who is your dude, like Jamar Chase was, who is your surefire, can't miss, first-round draft pick, just omit it. Don't put pressure on that player. Jonathan Giles, they gave him number 7. He had no business wearing number 7. No business. And dude literally 3-4 games in the season said, take it off of me. I can't handle it. It's too much pressure. Don't do that to the player. Once you put him in that jersey, if this is going to be your tradition, you put expectations. And it's unfair to the player if he's not a guy like Stingley.
I almost think it needs to be a guy that's like Patrick Peterson-esque.
Like Stingley.
Yeah.
That's the only guy on this defense who deserves it. Maybe Ricks will deserve it because he's showing out pretty well. He's been pretty good. That's the funny thing about this team is they can't cover.
What do you view as the criteria for 18, though?
First-round pick at least.
No, but it wasn't so...
18. The team leader.
I mean, it's supposed to be a guy who battled back from adversity. Had a catastrophic injury that, required loads of rehab and fought through it.
Kind of a gritty dude, too. Think about, Hester. He was a gritty player.
And bringing this up, I'm not throwing stones at any of these guys. I'm just saying some years, if the committee that votes on it doesn't think there should be a guy, then... And if there isn't a guy that deserves it for 3 or 4 years, then
that's okay.
They don't give it.
If it's gonna be a thing for your team, if you're gonna hype them up, if you're gonna take the pictures and announce it, just do it. I mean, there was no reason to find someone this year because you already picked your number 7.
There's been multiple years where around media and they're like, "Oh, so and so's gonna get." I'm like, and I look at them like, "Man, who cares?"
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, it's like. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's a silly thing.
It is an option not to make the jerseys a thing, but they choose to every year because it's great publicity and they like it and it brands their player.
How many different things do you need to have in a program like that? I mean, just got a pile of traditions.
You need 0.
I mean, you got 500 traditions that you have. You need 520. each coach comes in with his new thing. Les Miles with the singing to the student section.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, I thought that was cornball when it started.
oh, I dig
Now
it.
it's a religion.
That's because you've never been a few pints.
Well,
in
I just didn't
that
like the way
student section
I don't
with a
like the
cute-
way Les Miles sang. I don't.
Wow, you've never been in that student section a few beers in with a couple cute girls next to you. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, I stayed for that alma mater every time.
Yeah, all right.
The 1 year I was a student getting to do that, man, every single time.
All right,
So-
we know we're after midnight now when he's talking crap.
Yeah, the wife's asleep. Let's Gary Williams, take 18s and 7s. Clark, well, I don't want to bash players directly. Clark has had struggles at that outside linebacker spot. I think Clark was very much so a fit in that 3-4 scheme as a middle linebacker where he didn't have to move vertically too much. It was more about stuffing inside runs. And now he's stuck at outside linebacker where he's having to cover tight ends, cover outside runs. Like, you just have to have really fast outside linebackers. It's not about having edge rushing outside linebackers anymore. It's not. So it's just different, and he's not a great fit for it. There's a lot of players who are not great fits for this scheme that Bo Pelini's running. So a little bit of an excuse for Bo Pelini, but that being said, the defense is still woefully underperforming even the lowest of expectations.
Yeah. By the way, please, like I always ask, hit the like button. Share this broadcast on your Facebook timeline. Greatly appreciated. Hopefully, some other LSU fans that are friends of yours on your Facebook friend list might enjoy what we do here at TigerBait.com. Please go to TigerBait. Try our $1 7-day trial period, our premium content. I think you'll really enjoy what we do at TigerBait. We've had an incredible run of new subscribers the last 6 months, and a lot of it is you guys on Facebook who have given us a try, and we've been getting a lot of positive feedback. So thank y'all for that. And like I always say, if you come subscribe to TigerBait, the monthly, don't do the monthly. It costs you more money. Do the annual. When you do the annual, you basically get 3 months free, and you only get billed one time. So
What's it pass?
the WAF factor, the wife acceptance factor, you're not going to get peppered every month with. You get away with the $99, and then you have 11 months where you can hammer her for how expensive her pedicures are.
Exactly. It's a win-win. So you ready for that last call, you think? Last call for comments, and we'll get to them all?
Yeah, we're 42
Get
minutes.
your comments in now, and we'll guarantee we'll get to them, okay?
Yeah, Jonelle Taylor, thank you so much. Y'all quality and sound is so much better, and you guys have come a long way. Definitely, wait till you see what I have planned, Jonelle. You nailed it. Thanks for the kind words.
Appreciate it. We've worked so hard.
Yeah,
on
I
these
got
videos.
more. Preston knows. What about every other day? I'm like, man, what about this? I want to do this.
we are-
I have some plans. I have a loft in this house. It's
Yeah.
one of these little houses. I got a little upstairs. It doesn't have a bathroom, but it's like a loft. I'm about to turn that into a TigerBait TV studio.
That's right.
You wait and see, and I might even have it up and running in a couple of weeks.
He's even given me a key to that studio, by the way. I'm going to be able to just walk
Yeah.
in every Wednesday.
Yeah, we're really going to do this up even more because people love, whether we just go live in pregame at a high school, people love the live video on Facebook.
Yeah.
And now we're on YouTube, by the way. We've added 300 new YouTube subscribers in the last 3 weeks.
In fact, you can watch these videos on YouTube now, right?
We're also streaming on YouTube right now.
We're trying it out. at
Yeah, go
least.
to YouTube, type in TigerBait.com, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. I'm yesterday. It was his idea. I'm doing the video vault series where I've got over 1,000 prospect videos from well over a decade of prospect video that myself and all my video guys have shot of LSU recruits. And I've been loading a few up, and he said, man, you need to load up the one from Finley. And it was so funny because the Finley video is when I shot him against Covington last year, and some of the comments were negative. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he's not impressing me. Look how slow his feet are. He's wearing cement boots, blah, blah, blah. And then tonight he did what he did. And it's like,
Unbelievable.
yeah, because he's, over 20 pounds lighter. He's been working on his footwork. Coach Orgeron talked about him jumping rope.
So one of the things about TJ Finley that stood out to me is that he was sloppy coming in as a freshman and stuff. He leaned in his throws. He just wasn't quite prepared. But you know what? If you coach him up, he had the talent. Talent never was the issue. Oozed talent. Like I said, Jamarcus Russell kept on coming to my mind. The throws he made reminded me so much. He threw one pass, it looked like a flick of the wrist, and it just kind of went 30, 25 yards in the air to Jeray Jenkins. I couldn't even tell who was going to. But then there goes the receiver wide open. Boom, hits him.
Daniel Fowler said Pelini hasn't figured out how to best utilize Stevens. You touched upon that.
Well, let me give y'all some breakdown on this. So I've noticed Jacoby Stevens, not necessarily tonight. I have to go back and watch the film, but in the last few weeks, in Mississippi State and Missouri come to mind. You did a lot of fake blitzes with Jacoby Stevens, where you put him up close to the line of scrimmage as a strong safety, which doesn't make sense to me because as a quarterback, your read when you see a pre-snap blitz, which they're obviously trying to snell, your read is to throw to where he was at, where he was going to be before the blitz. Well, the seam is right there, but Jacoby Stevens is blitzing and then covering the seam, and he's not great at man coverage, so all you're doing is putting him in a position where you have no safety help over the top because you pretended to blitz your safety, put him in man coverage, and then the seam route beats it, and there's nobody for support except for the other free safety who God knows what Pelini's got him doing. That's a scheme issue that's just bad. Like, that's just bad football, if you ask me.
Mark Towery has a true freshman quarterback won a road game for LSU.
Look, so hold up. Jamarcus Russell did it as a freshman, right? 2004, probably Florida. But that's a redshirt freshman. And I think we can all agree the difference between a redshirt and a true freshman is
But you know what?
exponential.
But I do believe, though, these RPO offenses are a whole different animal for quarterbacks. You know, all last year when Joe Burrow was doing what he was doing, and none of these quarterbacks that we're talking about, whether it's Jamie Howard or Tommy Hodson or, you know, fill in the name, Burt Jones, no matter how far back, if you talk to them and what they were looking at that LSU offense, they were all basically saying, man, I wish I would have been in that offense.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's tailor-made for a young guy to have success. And a lot of these guys have been running that style of offense for multiple years. Finley got a year of it with Hank Tierney at Ponchatoula. But a lot of the other kids, like, look at Walker Howard. Walker Howard's been running that since middle school. He's running that, Shane Savoie at St. Thomas More running what they run. Garrett Nussmeier, all these kids. Max Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, they come in, maybe the terminology's different, and there's some new concepts, but it's not like a deal in the old days with Jimbo Fisher, whether he's with Saban or Les Miles, and a quarterback needs at least 2 years into the program to where even think about him being an above-average SEC quarterback.
These air raid spread offenses, I mean, they kind of started like in '98 with Rich Rod at Tulane and stuff. Back then, the college coaches could run it, but then the coaches learned around them how to run it. So then coaches would go to the high school level and start running it, and then you're getting generations of these guys where Walker Howard doesn't know a world where it isn't air raid. So yeah, they're just inherently so good at it now versus 20 years ago you can still call the plays, but you don't have players who grew up in that. So it's just more potent. Defenses are worse and offenses are better is what it comes down to.
I'm always talking lately about how the amazing run of quarterbacks we're seeing in the state of Louisiana.
Oh, it's incredible.
And I think it's multiple facets. It's part of it is there's a lot of kids that got burned out on select baseball. So your quarterbacks that might have been baseball players are strictly football. But it's these run pass option offenses.
Oh yeah.
And it's making these kids, and that's why we're going to be seeing so many of them. Arch Manning,
Eli Holstein,
and
Ricky
Zachary,
Collins,
Ricky
who
Collins.
I talked to Marcus Randall about tonight, his head coach.
Yeah, I was supposed to go see Ricky Thursday night. Ed Orgeron was late for his press conference by about 45 minutes Thursday night, and that threw me off, and so I was unable to get to Dutch down and see Woodlawn. So I'm gonna pin that one on Ed Orgeron for being 45. He went to the Les Miles maximum of being late for a press conference.
I think there's about 6 really good, legitimate Division I prospects out of Louisiana, and I don't think it's all RPO because it's not just Louisiana with RPOs. and other schools are coming in wanting these guys. We're talking Holstein, Manning, Ricky Collins, Reese Mooney is a guy we forgot who
Denham
lots of
Springs.
people want at Denham Springs, right?
He's a baseball player committed to Houston right now.
Right, yeah, and that's not going to last very long, I believe. I think there's going to be a big-time school, like an SEC school, watch like a Mississippi State or Ole Miss, someone like that come in and scoop him because he's probably the fourth best quarterback in 2023 in the state, and
But he's also
most
got-
years he'd be number one.
But yeah, he's got several years where he can get better than somebody, you know. So
I mean, yeah, that's true too. I mean, these kids still got to grow up. You know, that's one thing Marcus Randall was telling me is he said, well, I coached Levi Lewis of Scotlandville, who was better eventually, but you know what? Ricky Collins is going to grow up and be a lot better than Levi Lewis, I think. So, I mean, because he's just bigger too. That's another thing. So, great quarterbacks. I don't think it's just RPO. I think there's an anomaly. Superman couldn't cover from free in this scheme. Same problem was Pelini was here before. Too much ground to cover. I think this system might be a little outdated. Brian Lazar really, I talked to him in the press box, and he's really convinced that it's a personnel issue. I mean, I get what he's saying, but when Cordell Flott is beat by 5 yards on coverage and then
but
catches him from behind, I mean, to me, that's a scheme issue. You don't have safety help. Why is it that Cordell Flott gets beat on man coverage when he's pressing? Okay, so cool, the guy's 5 yards behind him. That happens sometimes in press coverage. There's no safety help, no linebacker assistance, nothing. And then Cordell Flott is so much more talented and faster, he catches the guy. That's not talent. That's not Jimmy and Joe's. There's some issues. You heard my breakdown of the fake strong safety blitzes and what that does for a defense. That's more of a outside linebacker thing to where, you know, you fake that blitz and then you step back into a zone and boom, you pick off to the slant route. You know, that's more of what that's for. And you're doing it in just weird ways, I think. And you want to be unpredictable, but you got to think about what your unpredictability, what it makes them do. So, yeah. What is Brennan's injury? Well, they haven't been exactly forthcoming, but it's a abdominal oblique tear.
And those are painful, and you can exacerbate them.
Yeah.
So
I have a little video I took. I saw Miles Brennan standing on the sideline at the very end of the game, you know, as Max Johnson.
well, you know, he was throwing the ball around in pregame.
He was. He's a tough SOB, ain't no doubt. Think about this. He had that injury and threw for 350 yards against Mizzou.
Yeah.
But if you ever want it to heal, you don't want to be all season with that because it will affect him. It will. You got to let it heal. Well, those things take time to heal. He was on the sideline. I noticed his left leg, he picked up pretty high, and then his right leg he tried to pick up, and he picked it up about 2 or 3 inches. So I don't know if that was just him.
Everything I get, he's weeks away.
Yeah, that's what I keep on hearing is that it's not your muscle doesn't reconnect.
But what I hope for him is that he's not seeing TJ do what he did tonight and thinking that he's got to rush. And I do like what Ed Orgeron said.
Yeah.
That Brennan is my guy.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap up.
Got one more question here.
Go ahead.
Man, I love you guys. Keep doing what you do. I'll definitely subscribe. That's from Gary Williams.
Appreciate it, Gary.
Appreciate you,
We want to
Gary.
have you. We want all the subscribers we can get. We're trying to grow, and like I said, choose the annual if you can. You save you some money. Like, share, and we'll be back here next Saturday night. Thanks to Kenny Haynes. Subscribe to TigerBait all week. Go on the website. Most of our post-game coverage is free. We've got all the Ed Orgeron, Will Muschamp, player interviews, Findlay. I was peppering Preston. I said, and I messaged Bonnet and Gilbo and a few others. I said, man, y'all need to start working Bonnet right now because usually they don't allow freshmen to do interviews, but in special cases. And usually special cases is like, being the SEC championship game MVP, but good on them letting TJ come. I mean, TJ did so many interviews as a recruit. It's not like he's going to come out and be foreign.
His answers were very premeditated. He wasn't actually answering any questions. He literally regurgitated the same thing 12 times.
Yeah,
but good on him though. That's what he's supposed to do.
But it was good that they brought him out. We appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully one day we'll actually be able to talk to coordinators like some schools do, but LSU doesn't do.
Yeah.
But we've got all that for you on TigerBait, and a lot of recruiting. Jack Besh, the big offer this morning, we broke that news. That's on TigerBait with quotes from him and Shane Savoy, the STM offensive coordinator. And so go to TigerBait.com, subscribe. I'll be back midweek on Facebook and YouTube with my midweek show, and Preston will be doing his as well. So we'll see you back here on Facebook, and thank you all for participating. And if we didn't get to you, put some comments, and I'll come back and check it during the day. I know a lot of people will come and watch this stuff Sunday morning or Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there was a lot to talk about unscripted today. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's hard to get to all of them, but I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, guys. Like, share, and we'll be back next week. Good night.